I always get slack for this when I go on appointments because I'm the one to convince you not to sell your home. I know I am the worst realtor in the world trying to do my job and actually look out and protect my clients. But here's a statistic, and this is interesting. 89, that's a really high number. 89% of home sellers have expressed regret in selling their home. So I understand there are always reasons to sell properties, but I don't want you to sell based on fear of the market or trying to time the market or for other reasons that might not be profitable or in your best interest. If you are a home seller considering selling your home, listen up because I think this video will have a lot of value for you in helping you make the right decision for you and what is best in your real estate goals. As I mentioned, 89, which is an enormous number, percent of home sellers expressed some sort of regret when selling their home. Now, here are the top reasons that sellers regret selling their property. Number one is selling it too quickly. Approximately 30% of sellers regretted selling their homes hastily, often due to personal pressures or pressures from the market conditions, leading to missed opportunities and potentially leaving a lot of money on the table. The number two reason that sellers regret selling their home was an underestimated cost with regards to the sale of properties. Remember, there is not just compensation for your agents, there's closing costs, there's moving costs. If you are selling a primary residence, there are capital gains costs. Now, if it's an investment property, there are options like 1031 exchanges, and I will link my video on 1031 exchanges in the notes below so that if you have an investment property, you will not fall victim to a huge tax bill. There are staging and home preparation costs. There are a lot of costs that go into selling your home that I believe most sellers don't actually imagine or understand the expense of home selling. Number three common reason home sellers regret selling their home is their emotional attachment. Now, this one is an interesting one because usually in business, we are taught not to have emotions, right? We are taught to look at the numbers. We're taught to make smart and wise decisions based on the research. But in real estate, the reason that real estate differs from other business transactions is because there naturally is emotions involved, especially when we're talking about a primary residence, not necessarily an investment property, but a primary residence, usually you have a lot of memories there, whether it's family dinners or whether it's bringing your child home from the hospital or whether it is throwing a baseball in your backyard or whatever memories you have based on that property, those are real. In fact, the property that me and my husband purchased back in 2004 had been in a family for years and years and years, and they sold finally after the grandparents passed away and the trust had to sell it so that they could divide the assets and close the trust. But we just recently had the grandson stop by and he was so emotionally distraught over the sale of this property, he said he couldn't even drive down our street until just recently. We, of course, invited him in and showed him around, and I think that he felt like a little bit of closure during that process, but there is a real emotional element that people don't always talk about with regards to real estate, especially primary residence real estate. Number four regret that home sellers have when selling their home is not using a realtor. So doing a for sale by owner, which could potentially open you up to a lot of liabilities as far as like legal liabilities go, and not understanding the full concept of the market, potentially leaving money on the table because you haven't exposed your property to the masses. Some tips to avoid seller's remorse. Number one is to consult with local experts. And I'm not just talking about a realtor, although I do believe that hiring and consulting with a real estate agent will really help at least set you on the straight and narrow to decide if selling your home is the right choice for you. But I'm talking like tax advisors, CPAs. If you are selling a property that was in a trust, you probably want to talk to the trust or probate attorney. Your first tip to avoid seller's remorse is to consult with professionals. Get all the information you need so that you can understand and make the best decision for you. The second tip to avoid seller's remorse is evaluate your timing. Consider the current market conditions. Are you selling because you are afraid the market is going to crash? Are you selling because you think that the market is at the top peak point and you don't want to miss out on making some money? Are you selling because you just strongly feel that this is the right decision for you and you don't care what the market's doing? You are going to price your home strategically so that it sells no matter what. So evaluate your timing and make sure that the timing is right for you. The next bit of advice so that you don't have seller's remorse is prepare emotionally. Decide if this is the right decision for you emotionally, not just financially. Are you ready to let go of a family home? Are you ready to let go of a vacation home? Are you ready to let go of an investment property? These are really big decisions, not just financially from a business standpoint, but are also from an emotional standpoint. And then the last tip to avoid seller's remorse is to understand the cost of doing business and transacting in the sale of your property. Understand the closing costs, understand the moving costs, understand the home prep work costs, understand the compensation cost, etc. So make sure you have a clear outline and understand what it's going to cost. Now, when you work with me, I provide you with a seller's net sheet that is prepared by the title company, and it'll show you all of the fees that you are going to be responsible for as a seller when you're selling your home. These are estimated because it's also based on the date that you close with regards to property taxes and if you have an HOA dues, etc. But at least you can get a really good solid picture that's an approximate value of what it's going to cost you when selling your home. So if you are thinking about selling your home, and again, there are always reasons to sell your home. So if you are thinking about selling your home, pay attention, because I don't want you to fall victim to the seller remorse, regretting the decision that you made when you decided to sell your home to try and maximize your profit because we are at the height of the market, or for another reason. But before we talk about why not to sell your home, let's talk about reasons to sell your home. Now, these things are always happening. We could need to upsize because you had a new child, or your grandparents moved in with you and you needed a new bedroom, or you needed an office because you're working remote and you needed to work from home. You could decide to downsize because your house is too big for you and you don't want to pay for the maintenance charges anymore and it's just too much for you to handle. We're talking divorce. Divorce is a really big reason for people to sell because you need to divide your assets. We're talking death. So if there is a trust or an estate and the owner of the property passes away, a lot of times the families decide to sell the property so that they could divide the estate and close the assets that belong to the estate. Maybe you're going through financial difficulties. Maybe you've lost your job and you can no longer afford the lifestyle that you are accustomed to, and it's time to sell your home and rent a property until you find a new job. Or maybe you have a job relocation and you have the opportunity to move up in the company that you work for, but that requirement is going to require that you move across the country. These are all really good reasons to sell, and these do not actually reflect what we're going to talk about, which is trying to time the market or fear of the market. These are really good reasons to sell, and I get a lot of phone calls for all of these reasons, and absolutely, for those reasons, those are good reasons to sell. But why you shouldn't sell your home, and we're going to dive into the reasons now not to sell your home. So acting on impulse can lead to costly mistakes. For instance, selling your home during a buyer's market can result in a lower sales price or not being prepared for the emotional attachment you may feel when leaving your home behind. I talked about really quickly the 4 seller's remorse regrets. And so let's talk about this. Don't sell your home out of fear. Don't sell your home because you think that the market is shifting. Don't sell your home because you are scared you're going to lose money. In my 20 plus years in the business, if you hold your property, even as the market does little dips and valleys, because it will, if you hold it for the longevity, you will absolutely see an appreciation in value in your property. Have you ever analyzed the market from 10 years past or 20 years past? You will see that the market does this and this and this and this, but over the 20-year period or the 10-year period, it always goes up. So if I ask you, are you selling your home because you're scared you're going to lose money? You will lose money if you don't hold your home. Do not sell your home if you're trying to time the market. What does that mean? We all want to have a crystal ball because it would be amazing for us to be able to say like, okay, this is the year that the market is going to be the most prolific for sellers. And as a result, I'm going to put my home on the market and I'm going to sell it for $250,000 more than last year or next year. And I want to cash out because I'm leaving the country or because I want to move to another area or I just want to rent and go travel around the world. Do not sell your home because you're trying to time the market. There will always be a disadvantage when you try to sell your home and time the market. And that's in any market that I've experienced. So instead of selling because you are trying to time the market, sell because it makes sense. Sell because of one of the reasons that I mentioned above: death, divorce, diapers, job transfer, financial reasons. Don't try to time the market because chances are you will miss that mark and then you will end up losing money. Another reason not to sell is because you've seen huge and massive appreciation in the market. Don't sell your home because you've seen massive appreciation in the market. Chances are it will continue to go up over time. Now, with that said, don't sell your home because of appreciation in the market and because of the cost. Remember, I mentioned this thing called capital gains tax. Now, there is on the docket for discussion the idea of removing capital gains tax for primary residence, but that has not yet been passed. So right now, for a principal residence, if you sell your home as a single person, you can deduct $250,000. As a married couple filing jointly, you can deduct up to $500,000 in capital gains tax. I am not a CPA or a tax advisor, so please consult with your tax professional. I'm just telling you what I have experienced in the real estate market. So again, if you have seen a huge amount of appreciation, say you bought your house for $200,000 and now your house is worth $1.2 million, you've seen $1 million in appreciation. And if you're single, you can write off $250,000 of that appreciation. If you're a couple, you can write off $500,000 appreciation, but you will be taxed on the difference. And that is actually a pretty hefty tax bill. Again, I'm not a CPA. I'm not giving tax or legal advice. Do check with your appropriate tax professional. But do know that if you have seen a lot of appreciation and you're selling because of the appreciation, you will currently be hit with a big tax bill. Again, that is potential for change in the near future. But at this very moment, what is today, July 29th, 2025, there is still a capital gains tax that is in effect. Now, don't sell if you want to move up or down if you have the ability to pull out some equity from your home. Why do I say that? There are things called HELOCs or home equity lines of credit. At the moment, they are high because they are an adjustable rate mortgage and they fluctuate with what the current mortgage rate market is doing. So yes, they are high. But let's say that you want to downsize because you've lived in this big, beautiful home for 30 years, but you actually want to keep it because keeping real estate not only can help with your retirement and passive income, which I don't really think is a thing, but it's a semi-passive income if you hire a property manager. But let's say that you want to keep your properties so that you can build generational wealth and assist with your retirement plan. There are things called home equity lines of credit. You can refinance and actually pull money out of your home so that you can go and purchase a new home while keeping your other home. And this could potentially allow you some leverage so that you could make money off of your original principal residence or your departing residence, and you can still accomplish the goal of purchasing a new home. So don't sell your home just because you want to downsize or upsize. Make sure you analyze all of the options that you have and look into the ability of actually keeping your home and keeping it as a rental property. Now, when you do this, use the worst case scenario as far as rents go and monthly payments go so that if anything tricky gets in your way, you have a bit of cushion or padding and protection with regards to your financial situation. The last thing we would want you to do is keep your home and then find out that the tenants can't pay the rent and now you have to go through the eviction process, and this puts you in a really bad financial position. So make sure that you analyze all the numbers and use the worst case scenario in your analysis. But don't sell your home just because you want to upgrade or downsize. Make sure that you look at all options because keeping homes is a really good way to diversify assets and build generational wealth. Currently, at the time that I recorded this video, 30-year fixed mortgage rates are approximately 6.74%. Housing inventory is higher than it has been in more than 10 years. There's a reduced buyer demand, and buyers are picky right now. And so the activity level is lower than it's been. List to sales price is under 100%. So if you don't have to sell your home right now, then don't do it. Keep your home, either continue to live in your home, or if you absolutely must move for whatever reason that is going on in your life, or you need a change of lifestyle or a change of scene, utilize one of the techniques that I just provided with regards to pulling out an equity line or renting out your property or leveraging some other financial assets that you have so that you can still accomplish your goals, but you can keep your property. I talked a little bit about this already, but another reason not to sell is over the long term, your home will appreciate. Now, generally speaking, in the United States, real estate is our largest asset. So if you are holding on to your home and utilizing it or plan to utilize it as a way to retire in the future, it is always better to hold on to it long term so that when you are ready to utilize the equity that you've built in your home, you have options. Again, you can pull out an equity line and keep it as a rental potentially, or maybe at that point in life, your home has generated so much more value and they have removed the capital gains tax law that you will be able to sell your home, downsize, and keep a hefty portion of your equity so that you can utilize it and retire in a lap of luxury or in comfort or whatever your lifestyle requires. So those are a few reasons why not to sell your home. Now, obviously, I'm a realtor and my job is to help those who want to sell their home. But I just want to make sure that when you're making this decision, it is a savvy, financial, and smart decision. And also that you consider your emotions or the emotional value of your home prior to you selling it. So if nothing that I said deterred you from selling your home and you decide that, yes, I want to sell my home, now is the right time to sell my home, I want to encourage you to make sure you prepare your home so that it looks beautiful. Right now, there are a lot of homes on the market. Buyers have a choice from several different properties that align with their budget and what their search criteria is. So make sure that your home is the one that stands out. Make sure that the curb appeal is on point. Make sure that the home is depersonalized, deodorized, decluttered, and deep cleaned. Make sure that it's staged and it just looks exquisitely gorgeous when that buyer walks in so that the buyer has no other choice than to write you an offer. But since this video is titled Don't Sell Your Home, I really want to re-emphasize that a home is an appreciating asset. If there isn't urgency in selling right now, your current home is probably the least expensive option versus selling and finding something new, whether it be a rental or a new home to purchase. Hold your position. We all want that shiny new thing or that shiny new object, but just make do with what you have if you can, and if you don't fall into the category of the things that I mentioned, which are actually real reasons to sell your home. If you're just looking to upgrade your property or downgrade your property, really consider this prior to doing so. It's really easy to get caught up in the idea of selling your home quickly, especially if you're facing financial uncertainty or pressure in dealing with a changing lifestyle. But rushing into a sale will put you in a position to fall into that category of 89% of home sellers feeling regret for selling their property. So in this video, I really just wanted to make sure that you are checking in with yourself, you're checking in with professionals. If you want to meet with me so that we can consult about what the right thing for you to do is, feel free to call me or reach out below with a comment in the comment section. If you are looking to buy or sell outside of the area and you'd like me to refer you an agent who you can consult with to decide if selling now is the right choice for you and your family, there's a form in the comment section. Feel free to fill that out and I'll connect you with somebody that will be able to take excellent care of you. Otherwise, I didn't introduce myself, but I'm Shamika Fox. I've been selling real estate in the Santa Cruz area for over 20 years, successfully selling real estate in the area for over 20 years. And also, I have been successfully convincing my sellers not to sell for just as long as I've been selling real estate. Obviously, there's always a reason to sell, but really make sure that you decide if that reason is right for you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, make it a great day.